Amphibia has quickly become the king of brutal foreshadowing and story-driven cartoons. Marcy's death flags weren't just a joke, she ended up getting stabbed right through the chest, although we know she'll probably be okay in the long run. And while fans are currently going crazy for theories centered around Sasha losing an eye or Anne losing an arm, the latter of which we recently covered on the channel, today I want to shed light on another big fan theory that's had tons of hints since the very beginning: the death of Amphibia Planter. I've never seen so many blatant hits towards a major development in my life, but if Hop kicked the bucket, why would things escalate to this point? How would he go out? And would it be a permanent change in the status quo? Well, let's run through all of the foreshadowing pertaining to Hop's death so far, which a majority of you may have seen in clip form already, thanks to a compilation by YouTube channel Marngil, and piece together the similarities in all this foreshadowing. Some of these hints popping up in other shows. Let's prepare for the end of our beloved Frog Father.
I don't feel safe.
And to stay in the loop of all things Amphibia during our Season 3 coverage, please be sure to subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you never miss a video. The first big moment of foreshadowing comes in the episode Taking Charge. Hop shouts,
I will redeem myself!
Before jumping off the cliff with Anne's phone, diving right into the pile of Zappapeds. He sacrificed his life for Anne. And that's something that becomes a pattern in all of this. The next moment of foreshadowing comes in Breakout Star, in a comedic Lord of the Rings reference where Hop breaks off from the Planters, allowing them to escape from City Hollow and Anne's fans. Using Anne's shoe as a diversion, Hop states,
Fly, you fools!
Before getting engulfed in the crowd of diehards. Another grand sacrifice for Anne. Sprig vs. Hop sees Sprig besting his grandfather at the Planter Family Challenge, putting him in charge of the farm. Defeated, Hop mopes around the Wortwood Cemetery, which features an establishing shot of a skull that looks a lot like him. Yikes.
Where was I? Oh, right. Crippling sadness.
Contagion has Hop face his mortality head-on, as he believes he's contracted an illness from Anne, causing his leg to turn red. The elderly frog requests that the kids find a corner for him to pass away in, sleeping underneath a newspaper and tightly hugging an urn as if it was a stuffed animal. Hope we don't see that urn again.
Dang it, boy!
In Hop and Lock, Hop falls backwards into a pile of books, causing one titled Dying Alone to cover his face. I don't know how Hop would necessarily die alone given his family and girlfriend, which makes me think he'd only physically die alone. If, of course, it was a sacrificial play. Fiddle Me This features a brief daydream sequence of the future, where Sprig's fiddle playing skills leads him to a life of success. And wheeling an older Hop around who remarks,
At last, I can rest forever.
Polly and Anne question the conditions of the scenario, however, due to Polly's lack of legs and Anne remaining in Amphibia, because someone buried the Calamity Box at this point in time, angering Hop, who's just trying to die, which could also serve as foreshadowing. Perhaps that Hop ultimately won't die, because his loved ones reel him back into the world of the living.
Hey, Hop. Did Hop just leave us?
Reunion has two small moments of not even trying to hide it foreshadowing. In a flashback on Earth, Anne has a reluctant look on her face when she has to dissect a frog in her biology class, because she finds it gross. And this tiny frog is straight up looking like Hop. Morbid. But in case this pops up as a question, I don't believe that this necessarily implies Anne would be the one responsible for his death. Directly, at least. And later, once Anne informs everyone that the Toads plan to execute Hop, he exclaims,
I'm gonna die!
Which out of context, we're just left thinking, yeah, you are, buddy. Season 2 is where they really start leaning into it. A Caravan Named Desire features a big on-the-nose line of dialogue. When Hop stumbles upon Renee Frogger strategizing the next heist, she plots,
We wait till Hop dies big death scene, then take him out!
Which greatly implies that yes, there will be a huge heartbreaking moment where Hop's life comes to an end. Corler's pass ends on a note that may not only serve as foreshadowing, but call back to an earlier moment of foreshadowing. After Polly and Sprig return to the wagon, Hop tries to address Anne's hypothetical boyfriend back home, causing an irritated Boonchoy to push him out the wagon and down a cliff. This reminds me a lot of the moment in Taking Charge, where Hop initially fell off a cliff of his own accord. This next moment we broke down in our coverage of the episode Night Drivers. After falling asleep on the road, Hop has a nightmare that features 4 large creatures with stone statues of Hop on their back, featuring his slowly decomposing body. Although, we don't see what the 4th statue would have been, which could imply a resurrection of sorts. This nightmare was also centered around Hop Hop facing his fears, or as he words it, his stresses, which makes it clear he doesn't fully welcome death knocking on his doorstep just yet. But if pushed to it, he'd embrace it to protect his family. Of course, there's The Shut-In, a story told by Hop Hop that may or may not have been real, in which he's assigned to drive around Mr. Littlepot, a mysterious slender fellow who turns out to be the Grim Reaper. Death quite literally was following Hop Hop and stole his full head of hair.
I wasn't that scared.
Oh, you will be.
After the Rain gives us our reason for why Hop Hop would kick the bucket, and why it would more than likely serve as a sacrifice. He still feels immense guilt over his absence when Sprig and Polly's parents died, feeling as if things would be different if he was there, vowing he'd do anything to protect the family he still has left.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry.
The first temple has Hop Hop once again at the ready to sacrifice his life for Anne, willing to step on the tile trial before Anne can, claiming that he'd already had a good life, and the whole point of this journey in the first place is to get Anne home. Of course, he was also still down in the dumps over the tension carried over from the previous episode. Maddie and Marcy is where the jokes just get unapologetic, as the titular characters for the episode are searching for ingredients needed to create the resurrection spell. When a really rotted corpse is next on the list, the girls mistake Hop Hop for one, causing him to retaliate by throwing a shoe in anger.
Did you girls just mistake me for a corpse?
True Colors has a brief gag where Hop Hop distracts the Toad Guards with a performance, which concludes with Hop Hop dying of a broken heart after losing the family pet spider, Charlie Bigbottom, who has yet to be pictured, but was first mentioned in the Domino Effect.
I miss Charlie Bigbottom with all my heart and soul.
Without you,
The world hath lost all color.
so emotional.
And last but not least, the new normal has Sprig question if it's too early to refer to Anne's parents as mom and dad, which could be interpreted as Sprig and Polly being adopted into the Boonchoi family should Hop Hop actually die before the end of the series. And later in the episode, Anne defends the planters to her parents when they suggest handing them over to the authorities, as she fears they'll be experimented and probed on. Given the earlier foreshadowing and reunion, with the Hop Hop frog being dissected, there's a chance the upcoming FBI storyline could set the stage for Hop Hop's demise. But that's all of them in Amphibia, as the Owl House may also be a culprit of waving the death flag for Hop Hop. Now, this just could be a coincidence, or it could just be a case of creators knowing each other's secrets, because yeah, why wouldn't they? Not saying that would be anything common, it just wouldn't surprise me. When Willow is grounded in the episode escaping expulsion, her fathers decide that they are going to homeschool her, bringing her numerous textbooks, with the largest one on top titled, The Life Cycle of the Common Swamp Toad. And guess who's both on the spine and cover? Our boy Hopadiah Planter. Look, on its own, this is just a fun little cameo. But in the context of everything else we covered today, I personally can't see this as anything but intentional. That doesn't mean it actually is. Don't treat it as fact. But hey, when this final season of Amphibia is over, if Hop Hop does kick the bucket, someone should really ask if this was intentional. With everything out on the table, it's undeniable that Amphibia is teasing something tragic happening with good old Hopadiah Planter. But how exactly could the old man kick the bucket? Well, a lot of these examples have made it clear it'll be a sacrifice, one that he'll be more than willing to do in order to protect his family. But that doesn't just include Sprig and Polly, that includes Anne as well. There's also a great chance that this sacrifice will include Hop Hop diving into something, given how much he's seen jumping off things, though I'm not exactly sure what that would be. Of course, I've started to entertain the notion that the Calamity Box and its gems will be destroyed by the end of the series. Lord of the Rings is cited as one of Amphibia's influences. And while I can't see Hop Hop going full on Gollum, I could see him deciding to spare the kids and take the box out alongside himself, delving into a volcano just as Gollum did. Perhaps the volcano that houses the third temple, or another location we've yet to explore. But assuming everyone is in immediate danger, perhaps Hop Hop's sacrifice is more than just a race against time, but an impulsive decision made in the moment. He could push someone out of harm's way and take a devastating hit for them. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a concept we haven't been introduced to yet that'll ultimately factor into the endgame of the series, and go hand in hand with Hop Hop blindsiding everybody with an untimely demise. Hop Hop's lived his life. He's old, and he's succeeded in raising Sprig and Polly into well-rounded people. And with Anne's parents around, I don't think he'd mind passing the baton on to them as he departs the world of the living. However, while I do think Hop Hop will do something major, if it is death, I don't buy that it'd stick. I mean, if any show could get away with it at this point, it'd be Amphibia. But again, Maddie and Marcy introduced a resurrection spell. I just can't see that never coming up again. Not to mention, this wouldn't be the first time an animated series has teased a big death, only for it to be a temporary sacrifice. Gorgle's stand from Gravity Falls had tons of fire-related death imagery sprinkled all throughout the series. But ultimately, he just had his mind wiped for a little bit in order to defeat Bill, getting his memory back before the final 10 minutes of the show. The fire imagery turning out to be a reference to Stan's mind being set aflame as Cypher is erased from existence. While Hop Hop sacrificing himself may be a good end to his character arc, it'd be a huge bummer for Sprig and Polly, who already lost 2 parents before. So if Hop Hop kicks the bucket, for their sake, I expect it to be very temporary, and by the time the credits roll for the final time, he's able to earn his happy ending and live his real final days, hopefully years, out in peace with his grandchildren. But with all that being said, what do you guys think? Do you believe Hop Hop will die? And if so, how do you think it'll go down? Let us know in the comments below, or over on Roundtable Vids on both Twitter and Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like, and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!